Attention hunters. And here is the next part of my journey. Last time I had just started time mark 5. So let's continue on to time mark 7 and see what I find along the way.
You like my firework? Unfortunately, you only witnessed the
Enjoy this moment. The chap. Enjoy this moment. The
bigger explosion!
Not bad. And this is what I found. Now let's farm some more, but in time mark 7 this time. Starting from this point on, Clockwork Ballet appears in every stages. This should substantially increase my gains. I'm still using my leveling void chart, which combines God of War and Dream, along with some flame sand nodes. This should hopefully let me have enough of them to craft a few items later on.
Fortunately, you only witnessed the beginning. Radiant!
The season mechanic can be quite profitable, especially so when combined with others that increase your drop quantity, like God of War, for example. Nice. I can only say that Alice has been very kind to me. Okay, now let's see what I have managed to find. Nice, and a perfect roll too. And another good find. One-off perfect light hunter belt. And 2 nice oceans of rock. Here are the items I decided to keep. Now let's craft on them and see what we get. I'll try to get max life and energy shield on all of them to boost our damage and survivability. Let's start with the cicada shell. Dexterity is actually not bad at all, as it acts as an additional multiplier on frost spike damage. Let's get it up to T1. You need at least 189 plasticity to be certain to get from T4 to T1. Although less than that is okay, as long as you're not unlucky. Now let's add some max life and we're done. T2 is the highest I can't get with this item level. And here is the result. Not bad at all.
It's time for them to have a taste of mine.
Now let's do the rest of the items. That's lucky. And another good one. And finally, the divinity slates. Nothing special here, just some max life, energy shield, and regain. And one very bad hero relic. Okay, let's pay a visit to the dummy and see if those small upgrades paid off.
The calibration intensity for invincibility number 2.
Well, I think it is safe to say that they did. Now let's see how I do in time mark 7.
honor and shame.
Emerging.
I can really feel the difference. As you can see, the damage of the build is slightly delayed by the bomb throwing animation. This might cause the build to feel clunky to some people, but I actually like it. This is a nice change of pace from the fully automated speed meta of this game. Now that I have some decent damage, let's try new strategies for earning currency. First is Black Sail. The idea here is to focus only on legendary hero memories as they can be very expensive. Unfortunately, they seem to be weighted toward the hero you play. This is not good for me as Bing's legendary memory is dirt cheap. Now let's try a more consistent strategy. This time, the idea is to focus on cheap but frequent drops that are easy to sell. That means beacons, compasses, and winding keys. Also, a lot of good is said about the boss chest, so I'll throw a few points in it. Eterna is a great way to add more bosses, which will drop a variety of resources, but also benefit from the Netherrealm talent constellation. I didn't put any points in Eterna proc chance, so I'll need to use a compass. Fortunately, it is very cheap. And finally, 20 points in Nightmare because I like big loot explosions, and it is a great source of consistent profits. Now let's try this new strategy out.
Emerging. I prepared the perfect demolition display for you. Unfortunately, you only witnessed the beginning.
As you can see, lots of bosses and tons of drops. Unfortunately, the loss of God of War movement speed boost can clearly be felt. But I can't complain. I just like Nightmare too much to let it go. So overall, I'm very satisfied with this new strategy. It adds some fun to the maps with Dreams and Eterna, as well as big loot explosions from Nightmare and the Season mechanic. Now, before continuing any further, let's go beat up T7 Traveler. Well, that was easy. Now it's time to see if I'm lucky or not. Well, you know what they say, sometimes lucky. I just unlocked Time Mark 8, but I don't have the damage to clear it comfortably. And that means it is time to get some upgrades. But first, let's see how much FEs I'm working with. Not bad. That should be enough to boost my damage and survivability considerably. First, let's buy a Pedigree of Gods. I chose one with momentum and open wounds. It is a bit pricey, but it should increase my damage quite a bit. Notice how momentum interval is exactly equal to our attack interval? That's quite convenient. Now let's get some nice hero relic and memories. I chose to focus on projectile speed and crit rating as this build scale heavily with those two stats. I also need to replace my gloves, rings, and boots. I bought some cheap bases with one T1 stat I wanted. For the gloves, I need Fervor, as it will help a lot reaching crit cap. Along with that, I'll try to get some max life and energy shield. I need the rings to have a lot of resistances, max life and energy shield. And for the boots, I want max energy shield, max life, and movement speed. Here's what I ended up with. It's honestly not too bad for this item level. And finally, I want to upgrade my claws. For this, I bought a few of them as they're pretty cheap. This one is pretty good. Let's finish it by crafting some crit rating. Nice. Now for the next ones. Since we have a lot of FEs left, let's try to get a T0 stat. There's a 50% chance of success, which means upgrading the affix from T1 to T0 while removing the other affix. If it fails, the legendary aptitude is reduced by 1 instead of removing the other affix. Unlucky. Nice. Now let's try and craft intelligence and elemental penetration. No way! Well, it is still a great upgrade. Since I have some FEs left, I'll buy candles with sealed mana and elemental resistances. Now let's see how much the build improved with those changes. Not bad. That should be enough for T8. Let's see.
Do you like my fireworks?
Emerging.
I'd say the build is performing quite well in T8. What do you think? By the way, I also bought a preparation activation medium to optimize the uptime of elemental destruction.
Give me a moment to light the fire.
Okay, time to beat up T8 Traveler. With my damage and capped resistances, the fight should be doable, if a little slow. It might take some time. Thankfully, even though I barely had enough damage, I had the greatest defensive layer. I'm talking about the 6 portals. Now let's see if I am still lucky. I guess not. But wait, I also dropped this priceless Winter of Origin. Sometimes lucky all the time. And it is now time to end the episode. I still have plenty more to do, but that will be for the next video. Thank you for watching, and take care.